Good evening. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners held for the purpose of transacting the general business of the Township. Today's date is February 13, 2019. The meeting is being held in the Springfield Township building. Please stand and join the Board of Commissioners in a moment of silent reflection honoring the servicemen and women who've placed themselves in harm's way in order to help preserve our safety. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are in full complement tonight. At this point, I would entertain a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting as written and recorded in the official minute book of the Township. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. I have a special report. I'm going to read a statement here. Several members of the Board of Commissioners recently received an anonymous letter expressing concern for renovations to an accessory building in a residential neighborhood. The use of the garage and the renovations are all within limits set by the Springfield Township Code. Unfortunately, the author of the letter did not identify himself or herself in order that this information may be conveyed to him or her directly. The letter goes on to indicate the reason why the individual did not reveal their name is that he or she believes the owner of the property is connected to the township, and he did not want to take his chance at retribution. While in this case, the property owner does not have a relationship with the township, the Board of Commissioners will not stand for any special treatment of anyone within the township, nor would any form of retribution be acceptable. All residents should feel free to bring their concerns to the attention of township management or the Board of Commissioners at any time, in person or in written form. Complaints and matters of concern are kept confidential, and in fact, these matters are not even subject to disclosure through the Pennsylvania right to know law. Moving on, we are now in the first public comment period. The board is open to comments or questions from the public. The board draws particular attention to those items listed on the agenda this evening. Please be advised that once the committee reports begin, the board can no longer accept questions from the floor. At the conclusion of the committee reports, public comments will once again be accepted. However, official action on those issues listed on the agenda will have already taken place. Therefore, if you wish to comment on an agenda item, now would be the appropriate time. Do we have any public comment? Ma'am.
Well, it's not an agenda.
Can you come and give your name and address? That's okay.
Pleasure. I am Sam Friedman. My address is 8818 Patton Road here in Wynmoor. And actually, I'm not commenting on a
That's okay.
issue on the agenda. I'm actually here seeking your guidance. So many of us have dogs. I have 2 dogs. I live on Patton Road on the side that abuts the creek. Across the creek are my neighbors on Carlisle. So one of my neighbors on Carlisle has a nicely fenced yard that the dogs spend many hours in. Okay, it's fine. But dogs are dogs, and dogs will bark when they see people going by. The dogs bark at me across the creek when I am on my back deck, when I am grilling. Okay, that's fine. But sometimes the dogs are out there for hours. And one time my wife drove around the block and indicated, can you do something about your dogs? They're barking a lot. Could you please bring them in? Whatever my wife was doing after a few hours of dogs barking, it bothered her. One of the homeowners actually gave my wife their phone number. It occurred again with the barking dogs. That time, my wife called and was told, you have a problem with your dogs. The dogs stayed in my Carlisle neighbor's yard, continuing to bark. My wife probably did indicate that time, if it happens again, I'll call the police. Mm-hmm. So we were in a very uncomfortable situation of calling the police. because the dogs were barking. They were out there for hours. They want to bark during the day, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. But in the evening, when I am sitting in my family room trying to watch a movie, and the dogs are out there barking, the dogs were out there on a 15 or 20 degree night a couple of Friday nights ago. My 2 dogs start to bark. We let them out to bark. This happens 3 or 4 times. So I'm here for seeking your guidance. We really do not want to be calling the police on our neighbors. It's not a very neighborly thing to do. Yet at the same time, they've already told us our barking dogs are our problem, not their problem. So if you have any guidance as to what we should do besides calling the police have actually advised us if the dogs are out there for too long and barking and making noise, call us. We'll knock on their door. But if that's what you want us to continue to do, we will do that. If you have any other suggestions, we will do that all.
Why do you think, as always, you have it all exactly right, so I don't know how much we can teach you, but why are they out so much? Do they have a doggy door, or do they just don't want them in the house, or?
Well, they, like me, are home-based, whether they are self-employed or working for others. So my guess is they may leave the dogs out for a lot of time, so they're out of the house. Why they're out in the evening for longer than it takes for a dog to do its business, I don't know.
Okay. And Don, Sam already said what I would say, which is don't be afraid to call the police. Our police aren't always chasing bank robbers, and whether it's disorderly conduct or whatnot, they can be diplomatic. But you already know that. Is there more?
That's the best
At
thing
what
to do.
point, it doesn't sound like we've got a cruelty situation. We just had the same problem with a neighbor of mine about 2 weeks ago. And we didn't get anywhere. I gave them the advice that you got, which is just call the police. They'll diplomatically do it. And in that case, they wouldn't even, in your case, they probably know. In that case, they wouldn't know who it was. But then they just wouldn't. They're afraid to. And I then went and found out who it was and said, well, I'll approach them. Or no, we don't. And they backed down. But it was tricky. And in that case, they have a doggy door. So they're home. The dog comes in. They don't hear the dog bark. Then they leave. They're big dogs. And then go outside. And one of them barks. It takes one to bark. We have one that barks a lot, but we don't let her out. So, they're too short of cruelty, which doesn't sound like it's going on here. There are 2 avenues. One is brokering something and talking with them, which you've tried. Now, maybe there's a way to try harder and get them to agree not to put them out after dark. And the other is to let the police do it, which will have its repercussions, I suspect. And your dogs are probably barking because they're out there. They're barking at their dogs, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's what dogs do.
And they do bark at people walking by.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And I do know that their adjacent neighbor on Carlisle actually did approach me once with what can we do, because they were right next door and really didn't want to be the one calling the police or whatever all the time.
Yeah, and my hope in my case, which didn't go anywhere, was find somebody, and it turned out it could have been me, who knows these people and less threatening, just knows them comfortably to say, your dog's bugging some of the neighbors. How do we manage this? But you've sort of already gone through that, unfortunately.
Well, there's another neighbor that I could, who we know, that I could see if they know them.
And maybe there's a way to manage the hours, but if you're working out of the house, then you got to listen to it all day too.
Well, during the day, it's not so much an issue. My office is on the street side.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever read the ethicist column in New York Times, but he wrote a humorous column on just such an issue and gave some sort of softer, humorous remedies to sort of kill the neighbor first with some kindness. But I thought it was some very creative remedies. So if you Google that, I think
The ethicist in the New York Times.
Yep, who deals with these sort of dilemmas. But I thought that they might have some some good possible solutions
I will follow.
outside of the norm.
I'll follow up on that. Was it a recent article?
No, within the last couple of years, but
Okay.
not within the last
You
year.
can probably search the ethicist, because it's just a weekly column, right?
Yeah.
Or is it even less than that?
Yeah.
It's in the magazine. You could probably just search that, because the
Yeah.
way the Times is listed. Anybody else have any help for Sam? Okay, well, that's
Thank
the
you.
best we can do. Good to see you.
Same here, Jeff.
Do we have any other public comment at this point? There being none, we will move to the agenda, and I will start as the chairman of the Internal Affairs and Library Committees. First, we have the item number 1, which is the February bill listing. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the January check reconciliation in the amount of $421,415.91, and the February bill listing in the amount of $711,188.92. That is my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. The next matter is the Library Advisory Committee. The bylaws of the Library Advisory Committee of the Free Library of Springfield Township state that the advisory committee will be comprised of 7 members, one of whom shall be a representative of the School District of Springfield Township. The school district recently found it necessary to replace John Chapman with Gretchen Slapinski as their recommended representative from the school district. Therefore, I move that the Board of Commissioners appoint Gretchen Slapinski as a member of the Library Advisory Committee of the Free Library of Springfield Township to fill an unexpired term of service to expire December 31, 2020. That is my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. That concludes my report. We move to the Chairman of the Public Facilities Committee, Commissioner Sham.
I thank you for recognizing me this evening, but I have no report, Mr.
Okay. Continuing, we go to the Chairman of the Community Development Committee, Commissioner Standish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items tonight. First item concerns Widmore Properties, and I'll just explain this briefly. They received a redevelopment authority grant from Montgomery County to do some work on their property. They've already done the work, but because it's a grant from the county, in case something goes wrong, they require us to cover the costs if there's a problem. So what we're doing is we're asking the developer to basically reimburse us for any costs or overruns or anything like that. So that being said, as many have noted, the property between 901 and 919 East Willow Grove Avenue, Widmore, are in the process of a major renovation and redevelopment. As part of the redevelopment process, the developer, Widmore Properties LLC, received a redevelopment assistance capital program grant through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The grant is managed through the Redevelopment Authority of Montgomery County. As part of such a grant, the host municipality, in this case Springfield Township, must enter into a cooperation agreement with the Redevelopment Authority of Montgomery County, wherein the township is required to guarantee the repayment of any funds paid under the grant that are found to be ineligible reimbursements. To protect the interest of the township, the Office of the Township Solicitor created an indemnity agreement between Widmore Properties and Springfield Township, whereby Widmore Properties agrees to indemnify and hold harmless the township against any and all costs, losses, damages, claims, and or expenses associated with entering into the cooperation agreement with the Redevelopment Authority of Montgomery County. Therefore, I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize execution of a cooperation agreement with the Redevelopment Authority of Montgomery County and an indemnity agreement with Widmore Properties LLC in association with the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program grant involving the properties at 901 through 919 East Willow Grove Avenue. And that is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Okay, and next is concerns the reappointment of one of our long-standing Planning Commission members. I move that the Board of Commissioners reappoint James Mascaro to a new 4-year term of service as a member of the Springfield Township Planning Commission. The new term of service shall expire February 16th, 2023. In addition, I move that the Board of Commissioners appoint Michael Bruce of Ronald Circle, Orland, to fill an unexpired term of service as a member of the Springfield Township Planning Commission. The unexpired term of service shall expire February 16, 2020. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Okay, and that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Standish. We move to the Chairman of the Cultural and Environmental Resources Committee, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to report for the recycling for this month that during the month of January, Springfield Township residents recycled 232.6 tons of materials with a householder participation rate of 76.8%. The net costs for the month was $18,821.20. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. And we move to the Chairman of the Parks and Recreation Resources Committee, Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have a report, but I would like to have an announcement. As a result of some of the racist and inflammatory material that was circulated in our community, I will be facilitating a town hall community meeting on empowering diversity and inclusion in Springfield Township. The meeting will be held Monday, February the 18th, 2019, at 7 p.m. in the Springfield Township building in this room. The theme of the open forum will be diversity and inclusion, the art of thinking independently together. The distinguished panel members will include Judge Christopher Sersky, a district judge who serves on the American Bar Association's Racial and Justice Improvement Project, Angela Bell, Esquire. Ms. Bell serves as the Montgomery County Disproportionate Minority Contract Coordinator and is responsible for facilitating the Racial and Justice Improvement Project Task Force focused on addressing policies within the criminal justice system. Dean Beer, Esquire, Chief Public Defender of the Montgomery County Public Defender's Office, Rabbi Saul Greifei of the Bek Tikva B'nai Jesurun Synagogue in Erdenheim, Mr. Jacob Gray, President of the Cheltenham African American Alliance, and finally, Dr. William Taylor, the Executive Vice President of the Cheltenham NAACP, that also includes Abington, White Marsh, and Springfield Township. I hope that everyone can be able to attend in order that we can empower our community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Graham, and I appreciate your efforts in putting that together. We all certainly support it. Let's move on to the co-chairman of the Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. One item this evening in regards to the Community Ambulance Association of Ambler. I move that the Board of Commissioners appoint Jane Thomas of Edam Road, Orland, to represent Springfield Township on the Board of Directors of the Community Ambulance Association of Ambler. Ms. Thomas served as an EMT for the Springfield Ambulance Association for over 2 decades and has also served on its Board of Directors. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
That concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxwell. Finally, we go to the Chairman of the Zoning Committee, Commissioner Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did not receive any applications for hearings for the month of February. Therefore, the Zoning Hearing Board will not meet in February. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board will be held on Monday, March 25th at 7 p.m. in this building. That's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Cobb. That concludes our committee reports. We are open for any public comment at this point. Going once, going twice. There being none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, please, I need a second. Second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Well, record time here.
Oh, my God, it's time.
19 minutes.
Sam slowed us down a little.